Hello, and a warm welcome to my regular listeners and those joining us for the first time. Thank you for being here. I'm Peter Doherty, a Catholic priest and a psychologist, passionate about the deep connection between psychology and spirituality. For too long, these fields have viewed each other with suspicion. That's ironic, isn't it? But here's the truth. Healthy psychology strengthens our spirituality, and true spirituality, rooted in solid psychological health, offers profound meaning and resilience in our lives. In this short podcast, I explore the gospel reading for the coming week. It's a resource for preachers preparing homilies, as well as anyone teaching or studying Scripture. I encourage my listeners who want more to listen to earlier podcasts. I draw from psychology articles, Scripture scholarship, and anthropological insights to make the Gospels relatable today. I see the Scriptures as guides for faith and spirituality. Biblical writers viewed history differently from modern historians. The Bible is more than just another history book. The texts are richly layered, addressing spirituality, identity, and faith. There's always more wisdom to uncover. If this podcast is meaningful to you, please consider subscribing. Feel free to ask a question or make a comment. I love the conversation. Sharing the podcast with friends and family who are interested in growing in their faith and spirituality is appreciated. Please consider writing a review. And if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and let me know where you're tuning in from. I'd like to do a shout out to my listeners in the Russian Federation. Thank you for joining us. It's great to have you with us. In the gospel that will be announced on May 10th, 2026, Jesus reminds his disciples that their love for him will be expressed in how well they follow his teachings. This is not surprising that love would be expressed in actions. We do act differently to those we love and from those we do not know. Jesus is underlying an important aspects of his teaching. Our faith in God must change how we relate to one another. This theme of caring for others as part of how we show our love for God weaves throughout the Gospels. In Matthew chapter 25, verse 31 to 46, it is written, "Then the king will answer them, 'Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of my brothers and sisters of mine, you did it for me.' In Matthew chapter 25, verse 45, it is written, 'Truly I tell you, as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it for me.'" Our faith is not just a head thing, but impacts who we are. It's worth being reminded that we express our faith in our relationships with other people. Gary Chapman, a marriage counselor and a Baptist minister, wrote in his book, In the 5 Love Languages, where he talks about how we express our love in our significant relationships. I would go as far as to say that we have our own unique way of expressing our love for God. Jesus continues and introduces the spirit of truth as part of our relationship with God. Truth is absolutely foundational for spiritual growth, not just an optional nice to have. In Christian teaching, truth is what God uses to convert and set people free. Spiritual growth, therefore, depends on a willingness to hear teachings, examine one's life, and reject self-deception, which is why hunger for truth is listed as an indicator of genuine spiritual growth alongside love and hatred of sin. Without honest self-assessment and accurate perception of reality, growth tends to be superficial, misdirected, or even stalled. Truth can be elusive. Pilate famously replied, "What is truth?" Truth can be difficult to recognize and accept. Sigmund Freud was the first to introduce the idea of defense mechanisms. We have defense mechanisms that help hide us from the truth and to deal with the resulting anxiety. Have you ever tried to help someone by pointing out where they could do better, only to have them become defensive or deny the obvious? Initially, the defense mechanism can help us on the short term, deal with the anxiety, but on the long term, they deny the truth, a truth we need to address. Have you ever had a friend complain to you about their spouse or partner, and as you listen to them, you can understand their partner's point of view? How is it that your friend does not see what you see? It can be frustrating. Truth is so important in our lives. Awareness of truth is crucial for forgiveness and true reconciliation. In John chapter 8, verse 32, it is written, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Truth is an important part of the addiction treatment, and they have adopted the phrase or modified the phrase, "The truth will set you free, but first it will make you miserable." There is no clear author of this adapted passage, but it does remind us that truth can be a challenge. And I suspect that at least part of the reason why people have trouble with truth is that it does challenge us to look at what's going on in our lives. Jesus, knowing full well how people can hide from the truth, tells the people that the Spirit of truth will help them. He also suggests that living truth in our lives will be possible with the Spirit's presence in our lives. The first thing is to recognize that striving for truth in our lives will enrich us psychologically and spiritually. Recognizing our truth may mean dropping or modifying our self-concept. Conditional love will make this difficult. It's only by having unconditional love for ourselves and God's creation that we'll be able to embrace our strengths and weaknesses, and then truth will be possible. It has probably become obvious that Jesus is talking about a faith that is developing. Like all aspects of ourselves, we are a work in progress. This gospel speaks of a mature faith, something to strive for. There are many models of how our spiritual life develops. I've used in the past Fowler's stages of spiritual growth. Today, I'm introducing Scott Peck's model. Scott Peck introduced his 4-stage model of spiritual development in his 1987 book, The Different Drum: Community Making and Peace. His approach outlines how individuals evolve from an egocentric self-interest towards a more integrated, mystical understanding of existence. Let's take a deeper look at his 4 stages of spiritual development. Stage 1 is the chaotic antisocial stage. Individuals at this stage are primarily egocentric and driven by personal desires. They often lack a strong internal moral compass, appearing manipulative or self-serving in their interaction with others. Stage 2 is known as the formal institutional stage. This stage is characterized by a reliance on external authority, such as religious institutions, traditions, and scriptures, to provide a sense of order and purpose. Individuals view the world through a clear-cut boundaries of right and wrong, often adhering to rules out of a need for security rather than an awareness of the purpose of the rules. Stage 3 is the skeptic individual stage, which describes an individual who begins to question the established dogmas and external authorities of their previous stage. They prioritize personal experience, scientific observation, and critical thinking over blind faith, often rejecting traditional religious structures in the process. Stage 4, the mystic communal stage, is the final stage. It's marked by an appreciation for the mystery and beauty of existence. Individuals at this stage move beyond rigid dogma or skepticism to embrace a sense of unity, unconditional love, and compassion for all, often losing their attachments to the ego. It seems to me that this gospel we heard today is directing us to this stage. Thank you for joining me. Next Sunday, May 17th, 2026, we'll be reflecting on Matthew chapter 28, verse 16 to 20, where the disciples experience one of the last appearances of Jesus. Jesus reminds them about what they have been taught and sends them out to the mission field with the promise that he will be with them throughout it all. New episodes are released every Sunday for the next week's gospel. A big thanks to Heather Patel-Doherty and Richard Colomb for their wonderful help. May God bless you, and may you have a great week. Thank you.